You see her sitting in the stillness of a room that finally belongs to her. She is a woman who has survived the crushing weight of domestic abuse. The world looks at her and sees a tragic story of survival. But heaven looks at her and sees a masterpiece under construction. She is a woman who outran the darkness. She is a woman who outlasted the lies. She is a woman who is being rebuilt by the hand of God. If that is you, I want you to know something. You did not just escape a bad situation. You were extracted for a divine purpose. For a long time, you were the one holding everything together. You carried the weight of someone else's anger. You managed their moods like a full-time job. You learned to walk on eggshells until your feet were bleeding. You became an expert at predicting a storm before it even hit. And you did it all while trying to keep your faith intact. You prayed for change that never came. You begged God to fix what was fundamentally broken. Then, one day, the door finally opened. Now you are on the other side. But the other side feels strange, doesn't it? Maybe you still jump when a door slams down the hallway. Maybe you find yourself apologizing for things that were never your fault. Maybe you feel a strange guilt for the peace you finally have. Maybe you look in the mirror and don't recognize the person looking back. Maybe you wonder if the version of you before the pain is gone forever. You feel like you are walking through a fog. You are safe now, but your soul hasn't caught up yet. You keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. You keep looking over your shoulder. People tell you that you should be happy. They tell you that you should be moving on, but they don't understand the work it takes to rebuild. They don't know the energy it takes to stop being a ghost. I want to tell you the truth no one says. Your survival was not a lucky break. It was a strategic move by the creator of the universe. God saw you in that house. He heard the prayers you whispered in the dark. He saw the tears you wiped away before the children saw them. He did not leave you there because he forgot you. He waited until the moment was right to bring you out. This season of your life is not a waiting room. It is a holy workshop. God is not just giving you your life back. He is giving you a life you never knew was possible. He is taking the fragments of your identity and making something new. This video is going to show you exactly how he is doing it. We are going to look at the 6 signs that you are being rebuilt. By the end of this message, you will see yourself differently. You will stop seeing a victim and start seeing a daughter. Let's be very clear about one thing. The enemy wanted to destroy you in that place. He wanted to silence your voice and crush your spirit. But here you are. You are still breathing. You are still seeking. You are still standing. That is not just resilience. That is a miracle. Number 1, the silence no longer feels like a threat. And that peace is God's first gift. Let's start with the truth no one wants to say out loud. In that house, silence was the heavy air before a tornado. You spent years fearing the quiet. If he was quiet, he was brooding. If the house was still, he was planning his next move. You learned to fill the air with noise just to gauge his mood. You talked about the weather or the kids. You did anything to keep the pressure from building. You lived in a state of high alert. Your nervous system was a guitar string pulled too tight. Your nervous system was a guitar string pulled too tight. Even when things were calm, you were waiting for the snap. You could not enjoy a quiet room. To you, quiet meant danger was coming. It meant someone was angry. It meant you had failed to keep the peace. But look at you now. You are sitting in your living room. The only sound is the hum of the refrigerator. You are drinking a cup of tea. It is actually hot because no one interrupted you. For the first time in a decade, you aren't listening for footsteps. You aren't scanning the driveway for a familiar car. At first, this silence felt heavy. It felt like an empty void you needed to fill. You felt like you should be doing something. You felt like you were forgetting a chore or a rule. But slowly, the weight is lifting. You are starting to breathe deeper. You are realizing that the quiet is not an enemy. It is a sanctuary. Think about the physical toll of that old noise. You used to have a headache that never went away. Your shoulders were always up near your ears. You slept with one eye open. You were a soldier in a war zone disguised as a kitchen. Every word you spoke was a calculation. Every smile was a shield. Now, your body is finally starting to unclench. You find yourself staring out the window for 10 minutes. You aren't looking for trouble. You are just looking at the birds. You are just watching the clouds move. This is the first sign of your new identity. You are no longer a target. You are a guest in the Father's house. He has cleared the room so he can speak to you alone. Sound familiar? Think about the prophet Elijah. He had just survived a massive spiritual battle. He was exhausted and running for his life. He was a man who had seen fire and wind and chaos. He went into a cave and waited for God. He expected a grand display of power. The Bible says there was a great wind that tore the mountains. Then there was an earthquake and a fire. But the Lord was not in the noise. 1 Kings chapter 19 verse 12 says something powerful. It says, after the fire, there was a still small voice. Elijah had to go through the chaos to find the whisper. He found God in the very place he was afraid to look. He found his mission in the silence. You have lived through the wind and the fire. You have seen the walls shake and the foundations crumble. Now, God is meeting you in the quiet. He is whispering to your spirit. He is telling you that the storm is over. He is teaching you how to exist without a crisis. The silence is not a sign of his absence. It is the proof of your protection. You don't have to fill the room with noise anymore. You can just be. The world calls it empty space. God calls it an altar. Number 2, the need to explain yourself is fading. This is the moment your value stops being a debate. Let me say this straight. You spent years trying to convince a brick wall that you were human. You lived your life as a permanent defendant. In a courtroom that never closed. Every choice you made required a closing argument. Every dollar you spent needed a 3-point presentation. You practiced your answers in the car on the way home. You checked the time on your receipts. You made sure the story matched the clock. You were terrified of a gap in your timeline. You thought if you could just explain it clearly enough, the anger would stop. You thought logic would be your shield. You thought if you provided enough evidence of your loyalty, they would finally believe you. But you cannot use reason to fix a heart that feeds on control. Now, something is changing inside of you. You are starting to realize that your life is not a trial. You went to the grocery store yesterday. You bought the expensive coffee. You didn't rehearse a speech about why you deserved it. You didn't hide the bag at the bottom. You just put it in the cabinet. You went for a walk and stayed out 20 minutes longer than usual. You didn't check your phone every 30 seconds. When you walked back through your door, you didn't look for someone to apologize to. You are learning that, because I wanted to, is a complete sentence. You are reclaiming the right to exist, without providing a footnote for every breath. This shift is one of the most powerful signs of your healing. It means you are no longer seeking permission to be yourself. For a long time, your identity was a reflection of someone else's mood. If they were happy, you were allowed to be okay. If they were angry, you were the cause. You were constantly adjusting your volume to keep the house quiet. You were shrinking so they could feel big. But God is showing you that you were never meant to be small. He is teaching you that your worth is not a negotiation. You don't have to explain your joy to people who only want to see you suffer. You don't have to justify your peace to people who profit from your pain. Maybe that is you. Think about the story of Abigail in the Bible. 1 Samuel chapter 25 describes her as a woman of good understanding and a beautiful face. But she was married to Nabal. The Bible says Nabal was harsh and badly behaved. He was a man who lived in a constant state of entitlement and anger. When Nabal insulted King David, he put his entire household in danger. Abigail did not spend 3 hours trying to explain the situation to her husband. She didn't wait for his permission to do what was right. She knew his heart was closed to reason. She acted with wisdom and authority. She prepared a gift and went to meet David herself. 1 Samuel chapter 25 verse 18 says she acted quickly. She didn't check in. She didn't ask if she was allowed to save her family. She understood that her responsibility to God was higher than her husband's demand for control. She stopped being a victim of his foolishness and started being a leader of her own life. When she finally told Nabal what she had done, she didn't do it to ask for forgiveness. She did it to state a fact. She was a woman who had found her voice in a house full of noise. She was no longer defined by the man she lived with. She was defined by the God she served. You are entering your Abigail season. You are realizing that you don't owe an explanation to the darkness. You are learning to trust your own instincts. You are realizing that the Holy Spirit is your counselor, not your critic. When you stop over-explaining, you start owning your power. You stop living for the approval of a person who is incapable of giving it. You are stepping out of the courtroom and into the light. The truth is, you were never guilty. You were just being held hostage by a lie. The world calls it being difficult. God calls it being delivered. Number 3. The boundary is no longer a wall, but a gate. And learning to say no is your first act of worship. Here is what nobody tells you. You used to say yes before the question was even finished. You did it to keep the peace. You did it to avoid the sigh or the eye roll. You agreed to things that made your stomach twist. You drove across town when you were exhausted. You took on extra shifts to avoid the guilt. You felt like your time was a public resource. Everyone could take from you, but no one poured back. Now, you find yourself pausing. Someone asks for a favor that would drain you. You feel the old pressure rising in your throat. But instead of an apology, you simply say, no. You don't offer a 5-minute excuse. You just let the word hang in the air. You have been there. Matthew chapter 5. Verse 37 says, let your yes be yes, and your no be no. Jesus did not tell you to provide a list of reasons. He said that anything more than a simple answer comes from a place of evil. This isn't just about time management. This is about spiritual authority. Think about the queen, Esther. She was a woman who was chosen for her beauty. But she was defined by her courage to say no. She had to say no to the rules of the palace. She had to say no to her own fear. In Esther chapter 4, verse 16, she decided to risk her life. She realized that her silence would be a yes to destruction. She stopped being a decoration and started being a deliverer. It was in serving the King of Kings. You are learning the same lesson. When you say no to the wrong things, you are saying yes to God. You are finally honoring the body He gave you. You are protecting the peace He restored to you. For years, you were a doormat. You thought that was what being a Christian meant. But a doormat doesn't have a calling. A warrior does. A warrior knows when to close the gate. You are realizing that you cannot be everything to everyone. You were never meant to carry the world. You were only meant to carry His light, strong. Number 4. Your prayers have shifted from rescue to relationship. The conversation is no longer an emergency. Let's be honest. For years, your prayer life was a series of 911 calls. You prayed in the bathroom with the fan. God, please help me find a way out. You weren't looking for a deep connection. You were looking for a life raft. You were a drowning woman, reaching for any hand that could pull you up. Your relationship with God was centered. It is hard to focus on the beauty of God when you are trying to survive a fire, but something has shifted. You are safe. The locks are changed. The phone has stopped ringing. Now, You find yourself asking different questions. You tell him about the small joys of your day. You talk to him about the flowers you planted or the book. You are no longer treated like an informant in a war zone. You are being treated like a daughter in a garden. The tension has left your voice. You aren't whispering in the dark anymore. You are speaking in the light. You know this feeling. Think about a woman named Hagar. She is one of the most overlooked figures in the Bible. She was a servant who was used and then cast out into the desert. She was alone with a child. She was in the ultimate emergency, but in the middle of her desperation, God met her. He gave her a promise. She called him El Roy. That means the God who sees me. Hagar realized that God wasn't just a force in the sky. He was a person who was looking directly at her pain. She moved from a place of survival to a place. She was no longer just a discarded servant. She was the woman that God had seen in the wilderness. Her prayer shifted from a cry for help to a declaration of His presence. She realized that even in the desert, maybe that is where you are today. You are realizing that God didn't just save you to leave you alone. He saved you because He wanted to spend time with you. He is interested in the small details of your healing. He wants to hear your thoughts on the future. He is not a landlord checking on his property. He is a father. When your prayers move from rescue to relationship, it is a sign that the trauma is losing its grip. So the question is not whether God heard your cries in the dark. The question is, what beautiful things? Number 5, your scars are no longer marks of shame. They are the medals of a soldier who made it home. Let me say this straight. For a long time, you felt like a damaged person. You felt like your history was a warning label. You avoided talking about where you had been. You wore long sleeves in July to hide the memories. You stayed away from new people because you feared the questions. You felt like a second-hand version of yourself. You thought the abuse was a stain that would never wash off. You looked at other women and felt inferior. You assumed they could see the cracks in your soul. You believed your value had dropped because of what you survived. But look at how you carry yourself today. You are starting to stand up straight. You don't look at the floor when you speak. You are beginning to realize that the damage wasn't yours. It was done to you. It does not belong to you. You have stopped seeing yourself as a victim of a crime. You are seeing yourself as the survivor of a war. You are realizing that your story has power. Your pain is becoming your platform. You are no longer ashamed of the fire you walked through. You are just glad. The smoke has finally cleared. You have been there. The Bible says something profound about the things we overcome. In the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 11, it says something vital. It says, "They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and they overcame by the word of their testimony." Your testimony is not the story of how you were hurt. It is the story of how you were healed. Your scars are the proof that the enemy failed. He tried to end you. He tried to break you beyond repair. But the scars show that the wound is closed. The scars show that the skin grew back stronger. Think about the story of Ruth. She was a woman who had lost everything in a foreign land. She was a young widow with a heavy heart. She arrived in Bethlehem as an outsider with a past. She had every reason to hide in the shadows. She could have been ashamed of her grief and her poverty, but she didn't let her empty hands define her worth. She went into the fields and worked. She let her character speak louder than her circumstances. She didn't hide where she came from. She just focused on where God was taking her. God did not see Ruth as a broken widow. He saw her as a pillar of the kingdom because she was willing to walk through the pain. She found a new home. She found a new love. She became the great-grandmother of King David. She is one of the few women named in the lineage of Jesus. Her story of loss became a story of legacy. Her scars were the evidence of her loyalty. They were not signs of weakness. They were signs of her incredible strength. Maybe you think your past makes you less valuable to God. You think He wants the version of you that never suffered. But God uses the pieces that the world throws away. He is a specialist in restoration. He doesn't just patch you up. He makes you a new creation. The parts of you that were broken are now the strongest parts. You are not a victim. You are a witness to the power of God. You are the proof that light is stronger than darkness. Let that sit for a moment. Number 6, you are finally seeing yourself through His eyes, and that reflection is truly beautiful. Let me say this straight. You spent years seeing yourself through a distorted lens. You saw a woman who was too loud or too quiet. You saw someone who was never enough to stop the yelling. You looked at your reflection and searched for a flaw. You searched for the reason the pain was happening. You blamed your face and your body. You blamed your personality for someone else's anger. You became a stranger to your own soul. You lived as a shadow in your own house. But now, you are standing in front of that mirror. Again, you are looking at the light in your eyes. You are looking at the way your smile finally stays. You aren't searching for flaws anymore. You are searching for the woman God made. You are noticing a kindness that survived the cruelty. You see a strength that survived the crushing. You are starting to believe that you are a masterpiece. You used to dress to disappear. You chose colors that wouldn't draw attention. You wanted to be invisible so you could be safe. You wore your hair in a way that wouldn't cause a fight. Every morning was a strategy meeting with your own reflection. Now, you find yourself wearing that bright sweater. You love. You are putting on the jewelry that makes you feel pretty. You aren't doing it for a man's approval. You are doing it because you finally like the person you see. You are reclaiming the territory of your own identity. You are realizing that your value is not a variable. It is a constant fact established by your Creator. You are no longer a project to be fixed. You are a daughter to be cherished. Psalm 139, verse 14, says, "I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made." This is not just a nice sentiment. This is a divine legal document. It means God didn't make a mistake when He created you. He saw you in your mother's womb. He saw every day of your life before they happened. He saw the nights you spent crying on the floor. He saw the moments your heart felt like glass. He never saw you as a victim or a failure. He saw a warrior who would eventually find her way home. He does not see the bruises of your past. He sees the beauty of your future. Think of the woman at the well in John chapter 4. She had been through 5 failed marriages. She was living with a man who was not her husband. The world had labeled her as a social outcast. The town judged her every time she walked outside. She went to the well at noon to avoid the stairs. She saw herself as a series of broken promises. But Jesus did not start with her mistakes. He did not lead with her shame. He started by asking her for a drink of water. He spoke to her dignity before He spoke to her soul. He treated her like a person worth talking to. He saw the missionary inside the outcast. He offered her living water that would never run out. Jesus saw her potential before she saw her own worth. He told her everything she had ever done. He did it without a single word of condemnation. He wanted her to know that He saw the real her. When she left that well, she left her old identity behind. She ran back to the people she used to fear. She told them she had found the Christ. She didn't hide her face anymore. She found her voice because she found her true reflection. She saw herself through the eyes of the Messiah. That one conversation changed her entire life. It changed the history of her entire city. You are that woman at the well. You have been through the fire and the desert. You have felt the weight of 1,000 judgments, but Jesus is sitting at the well of your life today. He is looking past the trauma and the scars. He is looking at the woman He designed before the world began. He is telling you that you are enough. He is telling you that you are precious. You don't have to hide in the shadows of your past. You are being rebuilt into something magnificent. Your worth was never in the hands of a man. It was always in the hands of God. You were not broken beyond repair by that relationship. You were being pruned so you could finally bloom in safety. The person who hurt you did not get the final word. God has the final say. The world told you that you were a victim. The mirror told you that you were used. The enemy told you that you were lost. But the truth is far different. You were a warrior in a season of hiding. Now, that season is over. The labels they placed on you are falling off. Like dry leaves, you were not abandoned by God in that house. You were protected until you could be moved. You were extracted from a burning building. You are not a pile of ashes. You are the survivor who made it out alive. God is now sifting through the debris of your past. He is finding the gold that was always there. He is shining it up for His glory. You were never meant to be a ghost in someone else's story. You were designed to be the protagonist of your own. God is giving you back your voice. He is giving you back your laughter. He is giving you back your dreams. You are not a second-hand version of yourself. You are the refined version. The heat of the fire didn't consume you. It only burned away the chains. I am talking to the woman who watches the door when boards creak. I see you, sister. God has seen your tears. He has counted every sleepless night. He is not just giving you a new house. He is giving you a new heart. Your heart can actually beat without fear now. You don't have to apologize for existing. You don't have to hide your joy. You can walk through your home and know you belong there. You can buy the flowers. You can sing the songs. You can dance in your kitchen. No one is coming to stop you. The man who tried to dim your light has no power here. The God who created the sun is backing you up. He is your shield and your strong tower. You are safe in His arms. You are secure in His love. You are the daughter of the King. That means you have a royal inheritance. You have an inheritance of peace. You have an inheritance of power. You have an inheritance of a sound mind. The spirit of fear has been evicted. The Spirit of God has moved in. He is not a landlord. He is a father. He is decorating your life with grace. He is planting hope in the garden of your soul. Think about the difference between a ruin and a construction site. To the untrained eye, they look the same. There are broken pieces everywhere. There is dust and noise and confusion. But a ruin is falling down. A construction site is going up. Your life might feel like a mess right now, but it is a holy mess. God is the master architect. He is not looking at the rubble. He is looking at the blueprints. He knows where the walls are going. He knows where the windows will be. He is building a life that can withstand the storm. He is building a spirit that knows how to soar. You are not a victim of your history. You are a victor in your future. You were never meant to be defined by that past. You were meant to be refined by your Creator. You are a daughter of the Most High God. That is your truth. You were never meant to be defined by who stayed. You were meant to be refined by who left. Today, stand up and walk into your calling. The door is open. The light is on, and He is waiting for you. He is not waiting with a list of rules. He is waiting with a crown of beauty. He is trading your ashes for beauty. He is trading your mourning for joy. This is your new identity. This is your new beginning. You are a woman rebuilt by God, and what God builds, no man can tear down.